Well, I'd like to welcome everyone back to Unloaded the Podcast. This is Michael Seahorn,
Shannon Morrow.
and we are glad to be back recording our next episode. Shannon, how you been this week?
Good, man. It's been a good week.
Been a good week. Likewise, too.
Yeah.
It's been a good week for me as well. Pretty excited today, so if listeners kind of hear a difference in the voice today, I'm a little excited. This recording, when it hits next week, I'll be back on the Big Island, taking some time off. And I debated talking about this a little bit on the podcast, but it fits real nicely with everything that we've talked about to this day, right? So I, as most of the listeners have heard, or if we have any new listeners, go back and listen to our other episodes. A few weeks back, I had a couple of rough days. It was a 3-day sequence of events, and that Friday I decided in the raw moment that I needed some time off to reset myself. So here we are now. The time is coming. As they say, the time is nigh. So this Sunday I'll be heading out to the Big Island to reset myself internally, both mentally and spiritually, definitely physically, because I feel like I'm in a point now in my life where I've been doing a lot with work and the podcast, my own business, and I feel like there's my batteries are drained. So it's recharge time. So looking forward to that, man.
Yeah.
So just for the listening audience, what we've been talking about is knowing yourself and just kind of knowing when those batteries are depleted and you're just toughing it out a little bit and you're just worn out, man. And I feel like it's good to know when that is. You got to listen to your body at some point, and I have a tendency not to do that very well.
Tough it out.
Just tough it out. Suck it up, tough it out, and keep moving. And so I made the decision just on the fly, and it's unusual for me. And just so I give you maybe some backstory, and Shannon can confirm this, is I generally only take 1 week a year in October.
Mm-hmm.
Every year.
Not this year.
Not this year, man.
Man, nah, you recognize, like, oof, you were pretty crispy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They say, what do they say? Burning the candle at both ends.
Yeah.
And then I lit the middle in between.
It's just this melted puddle of wax. Yeah.
So, anyway, with all that being said, I'm just looking forward to a little R&R and immerse myself back at the islands and enjoying nature to the best of my ability with no itinerary other than to eat real good food and enjoy some time in nature, man.
Go swimming. Jump out of an airplane.
That's happening too, yeah. Yeah.
Little itinerary.
Going to do a little jump out there at the Big Island and do some free falling and just enjoying this life, man. I only get one shot, so
Yeah.
live it.
Yeah.
Not recommending that for everybody. It freaks a lot of people out, but I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, you need it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Well, following up on last couple of weeks, Shannon and I have been talking about getting to the granular level, if you will, of what we do here at Unloaded and why Unloaded exists. And we're trying to really talk about this day-to-day dealing with this thing we call life. I think last week was pretty good segue, if you will, into what will be the next good 5, 6, 7 more episodes of just talking about the nitty-gritty day-to-day stuff. What do you think about that, man?
Nitty-gritty. Day-to-day.
Day-to-day, man.
What things do you do every day?
A lot.
Yeah.
I do a lot of stuff, man. I was listening to our episode on my way here today to the recording from last week, just kind of recapitulating and trying to just figure out if there was something I missed, because I like to go back and look at some of those really good thoughts that you and I have during our conversations here at Unloaded. And one of the things you mentioned, you said, and I'll paraphrase, that we were still kind of high up on the view. We weren't really at that granular level, if you will. So today I really want to try to get a little bit more
concrete.
into it. Yeah.
Good.
So I mentioned about having hard conversations. We talked a little bit about what strength looked like when it related to trying to have these difficult conversations, because it does take some inner strength to, sit up tall, sit up straight, and lean into having a hard conversation. And I was thinking to myself, why do we have a tendency maybe to want to avoid having hard conversations?
There's a lot of reasons.
Do you think there's maybe just like from your standpoint, because you deal with this obviously as a professional, do you see any repetitiveness on like maybe some of the top reasons why most people, I know Shannon doesn't like when I say most or all, so I'm just trying to narrow it a little bit.
Most is fine.
All right, most is okay. So would you say that there's maybe a top 3, top 4 where you you keep kind of hearing those scenarios or reasons come up?
Yeah, man, it's kind of scary to, when you say hard conversation, like this isn't easy fun stuff. This is like something's been gnawing at you. You're starting to get kind of pissed off about it, and you know that, I mean, there's some conflict happening there, so because of the conflict, most of us are varying degrees of conflict adverse. Some people seek it out. Some people create it mostly subconsciously because they're just used to it and they like the excitement or the adrenaline of confrontation. But many others of us, we like things to be more chill, just more easy, relaxing, peaceful. Don't rock the canoe, man. Let's just. I'm a little pissed off. I can see that you're getting agitated, but man, if we go there, if we start trying to figure this out or have that difficult conversation, we could go to blows, man, and that's kind of scary. You don't know how it's gonna go.
No, you don't. And I was thinking a lot about these conversations, if you will, the ones that aren't necessarily on the fun level, right? I'm not talking about meeting my partners or friends or whoever at a coffee shop and we're just BSing, or I'm talking about where that this conversation is probably most likely going to happen, but internally you feel that avoidance start to come up, right? You're just like, you know what, man, maybe if I just happen to not have to be there that day, or maybe I can push this off for another week, right? So I was really thinking about internally, even in my own personal life, is early on in my journey, for sure, there are countless times where I just wouldn't have the damn conversation. I just refused. I'd either get up and walk away, or I would just do the head shake, nod, grunt here and there, and just
remove yourself.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Every time it happened, I would just do the same thing, rinse and repeat it. Now, where I'm at is I really look at, is there something driving that avoidance feeling in me? I try to look at that now and go, why do I not want to have this conversation? Is there a driving force behind that? Is there a catalyst, if you will, which we've talked about in previous episodes? Is it because maybe it's somebody that's close to me, and I know in my past, I try to convince myself, if you will, that, I don't want to have this conversation because I don't want to hurt their feelings, or I think this conversation is going to make them feel a certain way. I know that I used to do that, and then what would I do? Not have the conversation, right? So now I look at conversations in a whole different context is they're just conversations at the root. And if they have to be had, if you will, I really try to go into them if possible, because obviously, 2 weeks ago, that wasn't the case. I had 3 very difficult conversations in 3 different days, and they weren't to my liking. I didn't really want to have those. I found myself in the midst of it. And as I said 2 weeks ago, I felt like I had some wins in there. I felt I had some losses. I definitely could have handled myself a little bit differently, and I definitely allowed my emotional reaction to drive my internal feelings. So when I really looked at that, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I spent a lot of energy, and I allowed myself to give all this energy out when I probably could have maybe handled it a little bit differently. And I don't necessarily like going back and Monday quarterbacking myself, but I do look at when I feel like I had a shortcoming, if you will. I do like to go back and look at where those indicators were. Because I think if I can spot some of the indicators, then it will help me in my future at some level when maybe another conversation will come up. And I can go back and reflect on, hey, last time I had a conversation in this context, I got a little emotionally involved. I had an emotional response. And it really does kind of help me encapsulate where that trigger mechanism was. And you and I have done this in session for years now, right?
Yeah.
Trying to work out, where's this, like, what's the root, man? And it's hard. That's so hard, man. Like, I got a lot of admiration for you guys in your line of work, Shannon, because, man, sometimes it's not easy to get to the damn root.
Most guys are just pissed. Most guys are just really fucking mad, and they just want to punch something or someone.
Right.
And, yeah, there's a lot of anger. Yep, okay. And then working through that, and then, wonder what's under that anger a little bit. That's probably secondary emotion. What is there? A little hurt under there, a little fear, a little pain. And yeah, it takes a little time to even admit to ourselves, mostly admit to ourselves, the reason I was so effing triggered and am now so reactive is because of blank. When I was 5 years old and treated this way, and this has been a kind of almost recurring theme through my life, and this to this day still really pisses me off. But underneath there, it's just some old childhood wounds.
And it's weird too, like even in my place, in this time and place, when I have these moments, like even after going on 11 years now, I still don't even recognize sometimes where those come from. I just know that there's a irritation there for some reason, and it takes a lot of time, man, to really, like Shannon said, the first hurdle is just admitting to yourself.
No, man, it's way easier just to point at the person across from you. Blame them for everything.
Yeah, it's your fault. You made me feel X.
You
right?
made me feel this way. You upset me. You made me mad. Okay, man. You got some stuff going on in there?
Which then that just add like dumping gas
No,
on
you
fire.
don't. You can't say that out loud, of course.
That's a flamethrower right there, man.
Nah.
So it's very ironic to me that in this self-help world, when I look at these moments of time, it's bringing a lot more clarity to other areas. I'll give you this perfect example, and I caught myself yesterday. So Thursdays, busy day. We have staff meetings on Thursdays, and it's a hot, just a fire of a morning leading up to staff. And So I was working on a problem on a software suite, and I couldn't figure it out. That was causing a little bit of a irritation, but then I just settled down. I was like, it's not a big deal. So in the midst of doing 8, 9, different emails, and I got contracts on my desk, and I got legal things going on over here. I get on the cell phone. I dial into the 800 number for the software company. You know how that goes. And so I have my phone on a stand on my desk. I'm working. I have it on speaker, listening to the music, and it's the we'll be with you in the next 7 minutes. You are number 2, right? And then we're going to get with you. You're still number 2. I'm just using different verbiage, but you know where I'm going with this, right? Well, ironically, I found myself at about 4 to 5 minutes into this being on hold. It was causing a reaction. I was getting irritated by listening to the dang constant music that was playing loop and the constant verbiage. It was creating something in me, which is fine. It's actually pretty funny because it generally doesn't bother me. But for some reason, man, that morning, I just hit the end button.
You couldn't take it.
I couldn't listen to it anymore, Shannon. I thought to myself, I actually laughed out loud at my desk, and I thought, why are you so worked up, dude, over this recording? You know what I mean?
Here's why. It wasn't actually the recording. You had contracts on your desk.
Yeah.
You had legal stuff coming at you. You had a big staffing meeting coming up shortly. You had about, what did you say, 8 or 9 emails you're trying to figure, you add all that up and the pressure you were experiencing. Here you are, just another morning in your office at work as VP, trying to do as much as you can in as many ways as possible to keep the ship, sailing as best as possible. And the cumulative effect of that much pressure, you add one more, I really like that voice you do. And so rarely, as a marriage and family therapist, the saying, it's not ever really about the dishes. We all fight about the dishes, but it's the dishes is just that's the
byproduct, right?
That's the straw that broke the camel's back, or just the symptom or whatever, and just you could wait on hold. You have way more tolerance normally than that. But if you zoom out, look at the bigger picture and everything you're experiencing that morning, and add it all, it's just that was that last thing that just pushed you over the edge.
Yeah, it was very interesting, but the most clarity that I had was that I could recognize in the moment
that's it
that I was irritated.
Well done.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I literally was in my head, I'm like, dude, why are you so triggered right now?
Good work.
You know
That's
what I mean?
hard to do. That takes years because generally, initially we don't even hardly recognize. We're just in the moment, just, not even
You're
really aware of how fired up we are. But through the years, through practice and more awareness, to be able to have that observing eye, just zoom out just a little bit, see ourselves from outside ourselves a little, good work.
I appreciate that.
Identifying for yourself and even being able to laugh at it, then to, this guy's pissing me off, and kind of chuckling and goodbye, boop. And then, good. Yeah. That's healthy coping.
Which is, and then this will date me a little bit, but then it took me way back to the days where, you were trying to get a hold of your best friend or something, right?
Busy signal.
Busy. You hang up and you do hit redial. Hang up, hit redial. Hang up, hit redial, right? And you're just like, that's stupid. That's where we came from.
Yeah.
Right? And now we're in this instantaneous, I'm going to buy a car from my couch eating Cheetos, and I'm going to hit the buy button, and I wake up tomorrow and it's sitting out front. You know what I mean? So kind of encapsulated everything I was feeling in that little bit of a moment.
Yeah. You eat Cheetos?
No. No, I don't. However, they have naked Cheetos now. We're going way off the line here, but they have naked Cheetos now. So they got rid of the dye, the orange,
okay.
the orange dye. Yeah, my daughter showed it. She said, "Hey, Dad, you seen these?" I'm like, "Man, that ain't a Cheeto. Your fingers aren't orange."
Okay.
Off topic, but anyway, that's what we do here. So back on our when we're having these hard conversations, do you think, Shannon, or what's your thought on if I'm avoiding to have the conversation, if I just keep avoiding it, would we agree or disagree that if you're continually avoiding these conversations, that could maybe cause a bigger issue for you or the person that's dealing with the avoidance issue?
Sometimes, yeah. Again, this is very case by case. It really depends. Sometimes, even maybe more often than we recognize, avoidance can really serve. There's a reason we're avoiding that conversation. And I know this is a little bit kind of on the other side of your point here today, but just to honor both sides, there's reasons we avoid. And sometimes, oh, good, we weren't ready to have that talk yet. Nope, that was not the right time. Like, nope, that would have been premature. Oh, I'm just a little too emotional to say those things. Like, oh, good, I'm glad I waited. I'm glad, that's, can be quite beneficial.
Yeah.
More to your point, if then it kind of moves on over to the other side of the scale where it has been too long, too much avoidance, too much of course that can create its own set of secondary problems.
Yeah, I know when we've talked about this many, many, many times. There's no crystal clear black and white answer here. We're talking in a little bit of a generalities, but I think it's prudent to have these conversations so people can understand. My hope is that we're just creating a space where maybe we're helping people see those indicators in themselves, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's the win for me personally when we created this Unloaded podcast was the intent to give people different avenues to explore in their journeys and their personal journeys, but more importantly, if we can create an opportunity for people just to maybe they never had an indicator, or maybe they did and they could never see or hear the indicator. And I think if somebody was like, oh, I just avoided having this difficult conversation, and then to Shannon's point, we talk about that duality that, there's two sides to the same coin. Why did I avoid that? Well, maybe like Shannon said, maybe we're not ready for it. Maybe you're just in the moment and you're just like, But I'm gonna put the pause button on this. Maybe I'll come back to that tomorrow.
Maybe. Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes it really serves. Other times, that was unnecessary. You'd be surprised how often we create issues. How often we make issues out of what maybe more could have been a non-issue. What if we just, that's kind of getting my attention. That's kind of agitating me. That's mine. That's my emotion. That's my agitation. Let me just pause, give it a little space and time, sleep on it, and have a little acceptance around it, a little more self-awareness. And then tomorrow, you know what? Whatever. It's fine. It's because if I actually now go there and create some drama around this, and all of a sudden I'm creating an issue, and I could have just chosen to just kind of let it keep going, and never mind. That's a skill to be able to resolve things more within ourselves. This is bothering me. This is why it's bothering me. This is mostly my issue. I'm going to actually process my issue, and here's some resolution. I don't even need to pull other people into my internal drama.
No, that's great. I mean, it's very valid, because I think a lot of times, even if I go back again to 2 weeks ago, where I felt like I was being misunderstood, because I was, but more importantly, I felt like I had to try to validate my position. And what I have seen in my own personal life is when I feel like I have to validate something, then that definitely hits that emotion response button for me. And then you're just like, oh, I'm going to, now you're all in, right? Because you're just going to make your stand. You're going to plant your flag, and you're like, this is where I'm going to, live or die. Well, to Shannon's point, no, maybe I didn't. Maybe because over the last 500 conversations, I didn't engage, or I felt like, roger that. Okay. Point taken, moving on.
Man, it's nice to move on sometimes.
It is. 100% it is. I mean, when you can let go of something, oh, man. It's
what a skill.
So powering internally.
Yeah. I'm going to choose to not let this mess with me anymore. You know what? Whatever. And then just go about it. Like, sometimes we're not able to, like, if that emotion is that intense or whatever we're experiencing is that strong, we can't just let it go. Of course, it's gonna keep knocking until we address it. And but to be able to distinguish between the two, and that's even hard sometimes. That's why, again, giving it time, and sometimes, nope, I can't just, it doesn't feel right if I did not address this. It wouldn't be right to let this go. I actually I want to have this conversation. It's scary, and it's gonna create some stuff here, but this is what has to happen, because if I did not, it would actually create more problems.
Yeah, I kind of just flashed back, and I think probably was in our first 3 episodes where, you were talking about, ripping things out of your backpack, right? You're throwing all this stuff out. Maybe you just tip the damn bag on the ground, right? You dump it out, and then you're like, okay, it's 95 degrees. There's not a cloud to be seen for the next 40 miles. Maybe I don't need the poncho. Maybe I don't need my wet weather gear. I'm just going to toss that over there under the bush, and maybe I'll come back for it later. Maybe I won't. But my backpack's going to be lighter, right? And then there are other things that you were talking about, or we've talked about, where you're like, can't live without this. Got to go back in the backpack, right? And I think that's what Shannon is alluding to, is that, the more we put into this work individually, it will help bring some clarity to when you do have to have a hard conversation. It's okay. You got to have it. You're going to have it. But I hope, and my prayer is that maybe through this outlet that we're providing people, it will give them a little bit more courage, if you will, to just say, hey, you know what? We could, I'm comfortable just having that, difficult conversation. Or maybe I say, hey, I'm okay not having that conversation for today, and maybe table it.
Yeah, there's the decision.
But as always, we're running out of time today. I would like to say, though, is as we continue moving forward with Unloaded, I think Shannon and I's hearts are always in the same place. We're just trying to create a space that's comfortable for people, and we're giving people just some different thoughts to think about, some different outlets to think about. And at the end of the day, if we can impact, just one person where they maybe have a new recognition, where they're like, man, I had an emotional response there in that conversation, and I've never had that before. To me, that's going to be one of the biggest wins of why this podcast exists, man.
Yeah, that's it. Just expanding on things a little more understanding of self, really.
Yeah, it's all about self, especially in this
Not
space.
all about self, but
98%.
It depends. In conversation, it'd be nice.
Two-way. It's a two-way on that. But we definitely are trying to just give people some space and opportunity to help them in their self journeys.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, right?
Yeah, just normalize a lot of things. We're human.
It's been an amazing recording. I wish the best as I have a grin on my face.
No, I'm the one laughing at you. What an amazing recording today. Oh, good. It's little self-praise is sure like, that feels good.
The reason I was going to say is it's been a great recording today is because I know in 2 days I'm gone,
there it is.
so
it doesn't matter. Yeah.
that's it. That's where I was going with
Got
it's
it.
been a great recording today is because I know that after this recording hits, I will literally be on the island.
Yeah.
And I wish the best for all of our listeners this upcoming week. And as they say in Hawaii, mahalo, which basically just means thank you. I appreciate all of our listeners, and I wish you guys the best this week. And for Mike Seahorn,
Shannon Morrow.
we'll catch you on the next episode.